Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. This is Satish. In this video, we look at if you should rent or buy a house in India purely from an investment standpoint. What we will do is we'll look at numbers, we'll look at basically how these things add up when you take a loan, when you do not take a loan, and how the overall numbers look like at the end of 20 years, right, when you actually basically take a loan. So again, this is going to be a pure financial driven kind of a discussion. Again, we are not talking about why, like no emotional aspects here, right? Okay, house is more like place you live, you have a lot of memories and all of that, but more from a pure numbers angle we'll look at it. And also we'll also discuss why we also choose to rent, not just from a number standpoint, and have a rationale around that as well. So we'll cover all of these aspects in this video. So without delaying, let's get started. First thing what many look at when you are purchasing house or is like, okay, I'm paying 30,000, whatever that arbitrary number is, right? I'm paying X amount of money for rent, and if I pay another 10,000 more or maybe 15,000 more, the house will be mine in 20 years. So this is the rationale that everybody looks at when look at it. And in fact, this is one of the biggest discussions we have at home. Always we have these discussions. My parents tell me, why don't you buy a house? You're just paying so much rent. So just to give you a context, I stay in a rented apartment right now. The rent is around 60,000 plus 63 we are paying precisely 63, and then the cost of the house is about, if you want to buy today, it's going to cost us 2.5 crore. That's the value of the house today if I have to purchase it. So when you look at it, right, people always think, oh, you know what, you could just take a loan, that's a lot. You pay a little more and get the EMI done, or maybe extend the loan, the house will be yours. All of these are the kind of rationale we hear from people, but the numbers look very, very different. And this is where, we'll look at that in detail. So without, further delay, let's get into the Excel and look at the numbers. So what we'll do in this exercise is just look at my case and just look at numbers from my perspective and how I was able to justify to rent instead of right. So in my case, imagine. Not imagine, actually, the fact is the cost of the house that I stay is about 2.5 crores. Imagine I do a 20% down payment and I go for a 2 crore loan. And currently the interest rates are about 9.075%, right? And if I go for a 20-year loan, basically every month the EMI comes to about this and interest. And if you see, you're paying in total, I'm paying about 4.3 crores over a period of 20 years, right? So that is what this is showing. And it's actually nicely portraying, So one of the biggest tricks of taking a loan is that when you start over all these orange bars you see, so this is the amount of, interest you're paying in the beginning. So banks are very smart, So they basically collect the interest first and then they only take a little amount of principal. So all the green ones are the actual principal. So if you see the first year when you're paying, you are actually paying only 2 lakhs towards principal and 13.5 lakhs towards the interest. So that's what it comes to, close to 19 points. And so you can see the percentage, and this is a beautiful place. I'll put the link in the description anyways, you can play with this, right? So what has happened is somebody have taken this, basically somebody put a very near, so 01, these are by zero, that they make wonderful content, right? So they put up a nice template factoring in all of the things, and we'll go over that Excel as well. So instead of me creating this Excel, I'm taking the Excel given by them, so thanks to them. So I verified the numbers anyways. You can see that EMI is 18911 and here also it's close to 18911. So exactly the numbers are pretty much same. So that's why I kind of trusted this Excel and we're going with this Excel. So I'll put a link of this as well, so you can actually take this Excel by 01 and do these calculations yourself. You can change every single number on this and look at your scenario. So just look at it from the same house, right? So the cost of the house is 2.5 crores, 50 lakhs down payment, all of this. And so the house appreciation is something that you want to consider, because the question most of the time that comes, the house value will increase. So as per RBI, right, house pricing index, right, this is house pricing index. So on an average in India, across India, it was about anywhere from 2.8%. Sorry, it's actually 3.5 to 8.4. So again, 0.6% to 8.4. That's the range. On an average, it's about 3.8%. But if you're living in a metro city, it could be anywhere from 5 to 6% or even 7%. Just for the sake of this calculation, I'll go with 5%. So these are real numbers from house price index. So that's why. So imagine the house is going to grow to 5%. So EMI is this much. So what happens is when you basically do the entire thing. So what they've done is they basically taken this, how much amount of EMI you're paying, how much is going to principal. So this is exactly what you have seen there. And what they're doing is, this is the entire amount that you would be paying. So just net on net, you are paying about 21,70,000 per year after tax to the bank for a period of 20 years. So that's a significant commitment you're taking, first thing. So doesn't matter. So when you pay that much, eventually this is how much you are paying, like about 4.3 crores. And the down payment with loan, you basically ended up spending 4.8 crores, So on top of that, what they've done is we need to consider the property tax, maintenance, all of these things. So this is actually a 5% of all of that, right? So technically it comes to about 90 lakhs, So that's what these numbers are. And you reduce this to, so the cost of the house with a 5% increase will come to basically 6.63 crores. And the total cost of the house, including this 4.8 plus 90, will come to 5.7. So net on net, you made 88 lakhs. Basically you made 15% more, 88 lakhs, or after a period of 20 years, So it looks very good. I mean, on the face, right, when you say, oh, 88 lakhs I made, so it's a very good investment. But let's look at the second side of it, right, which is basically renting. So this is where we go into the renting part. So now here you see the rental. So the rental is about 65,000. And, literally the increase of rent is about 5%. And amount deposit paid and brokerage, all of that. So this is basically what you're putting in. And the lump sum, whatever you pay to the bank, now you will actually invest it. And imagine we are getting about a 10% return, So just imagine you just put it in Nifty 50. In fact, Nifty 50 gave 12%. We are even going very considerate. We're putting only 10%. So EMI is about the same what we had. So we are taking whatever is out of that and putting it in an SIP basically. So that's what's happening. So if you see month number 1, your rent is 65 and you're investing in an SIP. So your SIP is actually growing. You're invested 1,15,000 in an SIP. So this is what in the first year you basically, all this is what you see. You put in about 10 lakhs. Whatever is not your rent, you putting it there. And this table goes on, right? Like when you go to year 20, if at a 5% rate, it comes to about, your rent is going to 1.6 lakhs. And then, you are basically paying only 16,000 towards the basically what is left over, and that's what you go towards the EMI. So if you do this math, then essentially your rent paid is about 2.5 crores. The future value is about 6.8 crores. The initial lump sum investment is about 3 crores. So the total value of investment is 9 crores. Of that, you 9.8. If you take away whatever you put in, so literally you're getting about 7.3. So just compare this, right? So 88 lakhs versus 7.3 crores. So the answer is rent. Again, this Excel template is beautifully done. Actually, I think you should all use it. Thanks to 01, right, who did this Excel. So the net gain is about 7.3. Again, you may argue that, oh, what is the guarantee that I'll get 10% in? Okay, let's go with a standard 6% fixed deposit. Even if I go with a 6% fixed deposit, I just put the money in the fixed deposit. Still, I'll be making 2.77 crores more. Okay, and what if you say, okay, my rent is going to not increase 5%. What if it's a 7%, right? So then also you are still making the worst case scenario is rent is going to increase by 7%. And return you put in an FD, still you make about 1.4 crores more money, right? So renting looks very, very lucrative. Now let's look at it in a different angle, right? Okay, what if the house appreciation is about, okay, let's make it 7%, just for the sake of argument, right? Imagine the house prices in Bangalore are going to grow 4. Now it gets exciting, right? If the house actually appreciates at about 7% CAGR, literally every year, it's compounding at 7%, then literally your gain is about 4 crores. Now, if you come here on this side, and now if you put it, return on investment, now instead of FD, you can't now go for FD, right? So if you just put it in FD, then you're losing money. And the annual rent is 7%, then you are actually 1.5 crores only. This one is 1.4, so you should buy the house. So what you have to do is you have to look at where you stay and what your time commitment looks like, and then make a decision. So in general, the normal is about 5%, and imagine you put it in a very standard Nifty 50 index, right? So then these are very standardized metrics, then it's about 7.3. Even with this case of having a 7% growth, still this is about 4 crores and here is about 7.3. Still, if you see the number is about, 4, basically it's 4 minus 7. It's about 3.3 crores. You're still better off, renting, right? So again, this is very, very contextual. You have to look at it from your perspective, where you're staying, and look at all these numbers and then make a decision. So just from a pure financial standpoint, this is how the numbers look like, guys. So this is one of the things we look at. So now let's look at it from a different angle of why we have chosen not to rent, right? No, sorry, not to buy. So now that you have looked at some numbers, let's look at what are the other reasons why we have not chosen to just not from a number standpoint why we have chosen to rent instead of buying it. So the first thing is it's a huge commitment in terms of financially, right? For 20 years out, I have to pay this much amount of money. So there's a huge commitment. That's the first part. Second one is we are not sure where we will stay when we turn 60, right? Just around 40. So, right. So if in 20 years, when we turn 60, I want to be closer to the people that I want to be with, right? So at that time, now if I lock myself in this house with a huge investment, 10 years down the line when my kids go out, or 15 years down the line when my kids want to leave, then I have a big asset that I purchased here and I'm locked up. Now my friends also, imagine they're also in some other place, they're also locked up. Now you're kind of spread apart, right? Then you don't have anybody around you. So instead of that, what I choose to do is basically we continue to rent and take whatever excess cash we have and invest it so that after 20 years, we will, or 15 years, whatever that number is, right? We will have that corpus that has built up in investment. And that day we will buy a house around the people where we want to be. Like imagine could be our friends or family who are close to us. Imagine we need something, could be in same community, could be neighbors, whatever, right? But the idea is I don't want to really lock up myself for a decision, and it will be hard to take a gutsy decision in your 60s because, it's a lot of money at that time. So instead of that, now if you build the corpus, then you can make it at that. So that is the rationale, In general, I think, again, it's an emotional decision, right? So, but if you look at practically, your house should never be a liability, It should be giving you money. So that is why what we have done is we have taken the money and we have built a house and given it for rental. And that is a revenue generating asset. So money comes in and we try to spend it within that range. So if you also want to do something, something like what we did, you create an asset that gives you cash flow, and then use that cash flow to actually fund where you're staying. And at some point, if you realize that it's not working out, then maybe you can consider moving back to your home that you built, or you do some alterations. All of these things you could do. So that's the idea behind our decision making. So hopefully, we got a perspective. Again, this is something that we discuss every single day in our house. When we visited our family and cousins, all of that, they have beautiful houses, So we also felt the itch of buying the house. But, when you looked at all of these things, I said, me and my wife, okay, it doesn't make sense in the long run. So let's just hold on to a decision. And then, again, memories are a different thing. But for me, numbers are very important, because to be financially independent, you don't want to really have too much of, I would say, commitments in terms of finances, right? So that's why, we took the decision. Again, it's a choice. There's no right or wrong. So again, at some point, I'll also buy a house. That's what I'm trying to tell you if you have listened to the whole thing, right? So again, it's the time of where you stand. That's where you take the decision. Again, thank you for watching. It has taken longer than I expected. Do subscribe for getting the regular updates.